Guys, this is your girl Wakeji Kamore and welcome to Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope that your week started out great. Thank you guys for allowing me to take a break on day one of the week. And today is Tuesday and we are still in the book of Psalms. Today we are looking at Psalm 30, and this is basically a psalm that David wrote as a song of dedication of the temple. Please note, after actually I did like a further research, I realized it was actually the dedication of his palace, his personal palace. But because note, at this time at David's existence, the temple was not existent because the temple was built by his son Solomon. But his house was basically like the temple of God. And so this is a time when David wrote this psalm. I'm going to be reading it from the New Living Translation. If you haven't read this chapter, please pause my recording and just read the chapter. Be obedient, guys. Be obedient. Read the chapter for yourself. Let the Lord just teach you for himself and for yourself. Unajua tu ile privately. And then you can come and listen to me as I read it again and as I share the lessons from this chapter. All right, so this is what it says. I will exhort you, Lord, for you rescued me. You refused to let my enemies triumph over me. O Lord my God, I cried to you for help, and you restored my health. Kwanza me, I can literally say that because, man, a few weeks ago I was really unwell. It says, you brought me up from the grave, O Lord, and you kept me from falling into the pit of death. Let me repeat that. Verse 3 says, you brought me up from the grave, O Lord, and you kept me from falling into the pit of death. Sing to the Lord, all you godly ones. Praise his holy name. For his anger lasts only for a moment, but his favor lasts a lifetime. Ooh, that is so encouraging. Weeping may last through the night, but joy comes with the morning. Love it, love it, love it. When I was prosperous, I said, nothing can stop me now. Your favor, O Lord, has made me secure as a mountain. Then you turned away from me, and I was shattered. I cried out to you, O Lord, and I begged the Lord for mercy, saying, what will you gain if I die? If I sink into the grave, can my dust praise you? Can I tell of your faithfulness? Hear me, O Lord. Have mercy on me. Help me, Lord. You have turned my mourning into joyful dancing, and you have taken away my clothes of mourning and clothed me with joy, that I might sing praises to you and not be silent. O Lord my God, I will give you thanks forever. This psalm reminds me of that song, you turned my mourning into dancing again. You've lifted my sorrow. I can't stay silent. I must sing for your joy has come. Ooh, oh. That was what? Women of Faith. Najua kuna watu wajui your song kwa sababu enyewe I've just exposed how old I am. I am old, guys. But anyway, this is such a lovely, lovely psalm. Again, as I said, it was David thanking God during the dedication of his palace, and he just starts with words of faith and praise. He says, I will exhort you, Lord, for you rescued me. You refused to let my enemies triumph over me. Oh Lord, I cried to you for help, and you restored my strength. This is a song of faith, praising God for his faithfulness, and David also just remembering the times when God's love and presence was tangible in his life. I like this line that says, you brought me up from the grave, O Lord, and you kept me from falling into the pit of death. You see, the thing is, I like these words, brought me up. Brought me up. You see, the thing is, I grew up in upcountry. And this reminds me of how we would fetch water from a well. We would drop a bucket that was literally tied to a rope into a deep, dark well. And then we would slowly start bringing up the bucket full of water. So these words, you brought me up from the grave. And the image of us drawing water from a deep, dark holes reminds me that God reaches out into the darkest, deepest places and brings us up and out until we are standing on the mountain top again. Then the thing is, we move on. Let's move on to verse 6. It says, when I was prosperous, I said, nothing can stop me now. Your favor, O Lord, has made me as secure as a mountain. Then you turned away from me, and I was shattered. Again, we are human beings. And so once we have been drawn up, we've been brought up, and now we are standing up on the mountaintop, we are experiencing great success and prosperity, we become arrogant and start to think that we can overcome any obstacle on our own. We start to think, sisi tumefika, we can do this thing by ourselves, we can then run this show, and we can live this life by ourselves. We experience a false security, not knowing that it is God's favor that has brought us to where we are at. How sad. How sad. Because that is basically what we're seeing. That David had asked for God to rescue him. God rescued him and drew him up and brought him up to a mountain. Then when he was there and he was being prosperous, started to say, nothing can shake me now. And that favor of God had made him so secure that he actually became arrogant. Then we see David turning to God again, crying for mercy. And the Lord heard him. The lesson here is that the Lord rescues every single time. Then we forget, we become boastful, but when we go to God again, the Lord is merciful. That even when we go to him a second time, after we have made a mess of our lives again, that he still rescues us. Let me tell you how this plays out in my life. I know there's a time I was in deep debt. I was in such huge debt. I think in 2020, I was in such huge debt. And then God rescued me from it. Yani through miraculous ways, the literally miraculous ways, the Lord rescued me from debt. But guess what? Between 2020 to 2024, I have gotten myself in debt again. Well, I'm not like in a big debt as I was then, but at some point I've gotten myself in debt and I've gone to God again and said, okay, I made a mess again. Oops, please rescue me. And the Lord just keeps rescuing that, because that's just who the Lord is. That whenever it is that we go to him, even when we've made a mess a second time, at that time, that when we go to him and say, oh Lord, I need your help. I need you. Rescue me. That the Lord still will rescue us. What a wonderful, loving, and merciful God. And oh, how I am grateful and how I love just being called God's child. Me, I love being God's child. And we see that even in our parents, that when a child, you will save a child from a mess, they will go and mess up again, you will save them again. And it's just the way the Lord loves us, that whenever it is that we come to him and say, God, I need your help. Lord, I know I've messed up and I need your help. That the Lord just rescues us. He's just a wonderful, loving, merciful God. And I really love being his child. Thank you so much for listening, and see you tomorrow.